I watch probably more women's basketball than I do men.
Really?
I watch more men's basketball during the playoffs.
Of course, yeah.
But I watch the women's game during the season, because it's a shorter season. And I think that's due to a lot of the college players that have come out, the women players that are so talented. And, a lot of that happened here at USC with Dawn Staley.
Welcome into South Carolina Sideline, everybody. I'm Matt Dowell, and I am joined by a true A-lister, a true legend, a true icon in basketball and Columbia in sports. Alex English is on the show today. Alex, welcome to our podcast. I am so honored that you're on here tonight.
Well, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Before we get going, as always, reminder to like, subscribe, follow, comment us on YouTube or wherever you guys listen to your podcasts. But Alex, first of all, I want to say we started this podcast a couple months ago. We're very, very new, and it took us a while to get it off the ground. And when I was thinking of people to come on the podcast, I was like, who in Columbia, if I get on, will make it like a legit podcast?
Yeah.
And you were that person. I'm serious. You were that person. You were the first name on my list. So I can't emphasize enough how honored I am to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much.
And you mean so much to the game of basketball, to sports, and I'm very, very much looking forward to getting into the conversation. But before we kind of get into all of my topics, I want you to plug all your upcoming events because I know a lot of times interviews, people wait to the end, to talk about the upcoming projects.
Right.
But I want to start today because you have so many exciting things coming up this summer and into the fall. And what do you got going on?
Well, first I've got an Alex English basketball camp. This year we're not doing it at Cardinal Newman. We're doing it at Drill High School. And it's a camp where we give kids the opportunity to earn scholarships to come to camp. We have great teachers, and it's a skills camp. We teach all the basketball skills. I have good celebrity guests come out and talk to the kids. So that's the first thing that I'm doing. And then my golf tournament, we raise money for my foundation, the Let's Share Foundation, which helps a lot of different organizations in the Columbia area. And that golf tournament is at the end of September. And we invite a lot of different sponsors, a lot of different people to come out and play. We try and raise enough money to help a lot of different organizations. Our top organization in the past has been the Family Promise of Columbia, which is an organization that helps find homes for homeless opportunities for homeless families, and that's been the big part of our giving. So we look forward to doing a lot of good things in Columbia, and I'm just happy to be at home.
For people who are watching or listening, is there any way they can get involved, that they can donate or help?
I bought my little folder. Before we end this show, we'll put it up, and you can, there's a barcode. Nowadays
Perfect.
It's a lot of different ways to contact folk. I brought the barcode. I brought all that information, and I'll read it off when we finish this.
Perfect. And I know I've gotten to go to your camps before. I've gotten to go to your golf tournament just to
Okay.
cover it. And I know that the kids always love it, and everyone has a great time no matter what the event is. So the vibes are good at all of your summer fun,
Thank you.
all of your charity events, all your camps. The kids have such a good time, and you're getting the guests that you get are I've been there with Aaliyah Boston,
Ashland, Tessa Johnson,
Yeah.
PJ Dozier.
Yeah.
We've had Tyrone Corbin, T.R. Dunn, former NBA guys and coaches. So we get a lot of different people out, and Aflac is a big sponsor. So they come out and they talk about what they do as well.
And I know the kids freak out when they see those those players. They love it so much. So it is a really, really amazing things that you always do here in the community.
Thank
so
you.
we will show all of that at the end and tell people how to get involved at the end. So now though, I want to go back to the beginning. I know before we started filming today, we were talking about how much Columbia has changed and how it's always constantly changing. What was life like for you growing up here in Columbia?
Oh, that's a long story. But I grew up about 3 blocks from here on Barnwell and Gervais, and it was a very different thing here. It was the community here was more African American community. The university was right across the street on the other side of Gervais. So I got an opportunity to visit the university, walk through the campus. I walk around the campus. Back then, you couldn't go through it. But I've gotten to see Columbia change, but in a lot of good ways. It's added a lot of entertainment and a lot of opportunity. Serving on the board of the University of South Carolina Board of Trustees, I've gotten to see all the different things that the university offers for Columbia as well as the state. So I've gotten to see a lot of different things happen. I've gotten to see a lot of communities disappear. The community that I grew up here on Barnwell and Gervais is not there anymore, and all the communities around it, they are all gone. But there are new communities, there are new things, and I'm excited about the growth. A little disappointed that we've lost a lot of our communities, especially the African American communities. But I'm also excited about what's in the future, what we can build, what we can bring back.
And what does that look like? How do we do that? How do we bring those things back?
Well, I think it's going to take a lot of communication. It's going to take a lot of us, all the communities, all the people in the community talking about it and being committed and being a part of it. It's not just one side of the community; it's all of the community, and it's going to take a serious commitment to bring everybody in and not just have, one side being a part of the community, but making Columbia is a very diverse community.
Yeah.
And it's gotten even more diverse as I've grown older. So I think it's important that the diversity is recognized in the community. We've got a lot of Hispanics, we've got African Americans, we've got Asian Americans. We've got all kinds of folk here and all the different talents, music, and Columbia is a big place for in the summer. You go to all of different all of the different events where you see a lot of different things. We've got Soda City, you got Rosewood, the Rosewood event. You've got North Main Street event. It's just so many things that are happening that bring in the different parts of the culture of the Columbia area.
Yeah, and I know too, Dawn has said that's one thing that she loves just about her fan base, is
Yes.
just seeing everybody from all kinds of backgrounds come
Yes.
together to cheer on the Gamecocks. Growing up for you, when did you fall in love with basketball? What was it that made it just be like, this is what I want to do with my life?
It took a minute. I loved playing football. And in these back ways around your TV station here, there used to be a lot of fields that we played basketball, we played football, we did it. Whatever sport was in season, we did it. And I enjoyed football the most. I thought I was fast. I thought I could catch the ball. I was a wide receiver. But basketball kind of kept drawing me back because I was long and lanky, and I had an advantage. So I started playing more basketball, but baseball, we did that as softball, what we called it. And it was a lot of different things in the community that I did, but basketball was the thing that I felt drawn to because I got a chance to dance.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean you got a chance to dance?
Well, when I play, or when I watch basketball players play, they're dancing. They're, and it's not as much now, but back when I played, from the 3-point line to the goal, there's a lot of creativity when you have to go through all that to get to the basket. Nowadays, it's more come down and shoot 3-pointers, but when I played, you had to be able to move, you had to be able to slide, you had to get around guys, and you have to be able to do all that and put the ball in the basket. So that's dancing to me.
And I know, too, when you look at today, the recruiting process has changed so much, even in the last 5 years.
Yes.
What was the recruiting process like for you to come to South Carolina?
Well, there certainly wasn't any NIL money.
Yeah. You would have had a lot of that.
Yeah, you couldn't even get a free meal. But, it was about going and visiting schools, visiting coaches, spending time on the campuses. I got an opportunity to do that with probably maybe 10 or so different schools before I decided on the University of South Carolina. And I did that mainly because this was my hometown. I love Columbia. I love what it can be, what it was about, but I love what it can be. And then playing for Frank McGuire was special for me.
Was there ever temptation? I think everyone, when they are about to be a college student, if they're an athlete or just, a student, they have that temptation of, do I stay home? Do I go far away? What does my future hold? Was there ever that temptation to be like, maybe I'll go somewhere else and see what else is out there? Or was it always like, nah, Columbia is my home and that's where I want to go?
Well, I always had that feeling maybe I should go somewhere else and get a chance to experience another place. But my comfort place, my comfort zone was here in Columbia. My family was here. I knew Columbia. Frank McGuire made me feel comfortable at the university, even though during those times it was, there was a lot of turbulent times with the civil rights. But he made me feel comfortable. And I decided, hey, I get an opportunity, because back then a lot of the players from the area, the African-American players, wouldn't come to play in South Carolina because they thought they were not going to get a chance to play. And I said, well, this is an opportunity for me to change that, because I knew what I could do and I felt that I could do it. So I decided to come. And the players that I came here with were all Northerners, mostly Northerners, and were good people. Mike Dunleavy, Mark Griner, Jim Clemens, Jackie Galloon, George Felton. A lot of those guys were people that I felt comfortable with. So once I got here and I was in my hometown, I just felt like I was in heaven.
When you think about your time at Carolina, like you said, it was a very different time compared to now. But what stands out the most to you? I know you probably have so many memories, so many things that flood back to you when you think of that time as a Gamecock. But what stands out to you about your time playing for South Carolina?
The other thing that was very important to me was getting an opportunity to travel and see the world.
Yeah.
South Carolina had just gotten out of the ACC and had become an independent school. So we got a chance to go all over the country to play. We did a lot of New York playing. We went to Chicago. We went to a lot of different cities. So for me, that was an experience in itself. Country boy, Columbia, South Carolina, not getting an opportunity to travel. I got a chance to travel to different parts of the country and go to these different schools and meet a lot of different people. So that was important to me.
How did that change you? Because I know when I got to college, I felt like I became a different person because I got to meet so many different people from all over. I wasn't just this kid from North Carolina anymore, that grew up in a sheltered world, whatever it was. How did all of that, all those experiences really change you and elevate you as a person and as a player?
Well, in a lot of ways it did. I got an opportunity to go to different cities and see how cities were made and what made up cities. I got an opportunity to see different types of food, because every city you go to, there's different kinds of culture, different ethnicities within those cities. Like I remember Milwaukee was very strong Polish, German ethnic folk there. So you got a chance to see all that. And every city had something different. So I got an opportunity to experience that. I got an opportunity to go to whatever cultural event was going on during that time while we were in that city. So it expanded my knowledge. It expanded my appreciation of different people, different food, different culture. And it made me the inquisitive person that I am now. I want to know, I want to see, I want to learn. I'm always learning, and I can share those experiences, that part of my life with people. It gives me a different perspective.
Yeah.
I don't have to be a braggadocious type person. I can say I've been there, I've lived it, and it only expanded when I got to the NBA.
Well, that's a good segue because that was my next question. Because I always tell people, like my family and stuff, there's a big difference in being a great college player and then being a pro. Like no matter what the sport is, the pros are just the next level.
Yes.
When in your college career did you know I am good enough to be in the NBA? I am good enough to make it. I am good enough to be with those guys.
I didn't know until I got there. I knew that I could play.
Yeah.
I knew what my strengths were. But I can remember one of my former teammates who was had gone to the NBA or the ABA, and he'd come back and he said, well, he had told some people that I don't think Alex can make it because he's so thin and he's not strong and tough enough. And that was like fuel on the fire for me. And so that made me work harder. I was very thin, but I was a wiry, strong muscle type. So I did the little things as a basketball player that I knew could help me, make a career out of it. And that's like following your shot, rebounding the ball, going to the offensive glass, and blocking shots and running up and down the floor. Those are the things that I did well. So I really worked on it. And when I got a first taste of, as a rookie of playing, I enjoyed it even more. And it was like, how Muhammad Ali said, you stick and move, you get that first lick in, and you go, hey, okay, I liked it. You get that second lick in, it's like, okay, this is what I want to do. And playing with the Milwaukee Bucks at that time, I was like the third pick. I was the second pick, but we had 3 second-round picks, and I was one of those 3. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't easy for me to make the squad.
What does it take to, again, then I tell people it's one thing to make it, to get drafted, but then you got to stay there. You got to keep your place. How do you maintain that level to be able to become the legend in the NBA that you are?
Well, being blessed is one of those things. I think I've been just extremely blessed to have gotten the opportunity, to come from the ghettos of Columbia, South Carolina, and be a world traveler, and be a basketball player. I'm extremely blessed, but it took a positive attitude. It took having people around me that were pushing that positive attitude.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of work in the off season to do the things that I needed to do to get better that was going to keep me there, which is what I did. And I enjoy it. I told you, I look at my game, my basketball game, as being a dancer. I was dancing on the floor, and every time I got to dance, let's go.
And I know you're such a humble guy, but on this podcast, you can be real with me. Do you ever sit down and think man, I am Alex English. I crushed it. I am a legend. I'm one of the best basketball players ever. Do you ever have those moments, or is it all just even keeled?
No, excuse me. I think about the accomplishments that I've had as a basketball player and try to measure them against the accomplishments that I've had as a person that's met and traveled, and it's immeasurable. I think the experiences that I've got from being a basketball player, they're just so much farther above being a basketball player. But I do think about it in the sense that for me it was like I'm having fun. I'm dancing. I'm doing what I like to do, and you take little tidbits of messages from different people. I remember Freddie Carter came to my team when I was a Milwaukee Buck, and he said, young man, they pay scorers. The scorers get paid. And I always remember that. So I said, hey, I got to learn how to score more. So I would work on my game and do the little things, and just my early years with Milwaukee, and almost not making the team, and making the team. I know that was a blessing, and then going to Indiana and playing there, and then getting the opportunity to go to Denver with my old college coaches and play for them was one of the big pluses for me. because I got a chance. I felt good when I played with those other two teams, but when I got with them, I knew that I could do what I wanted to do and do it within the style that they wanted us to do it in.
Yeah. Did you have? Is there a city on your list that that was always your favorite to go to? I know you've gotten to experience pretty much every city in the United States. Was there one that you're like, man, I'm so happy to be going here or here or here?
Well, I enjoyed playing in the Garden in New York.
Yeah, of course.
I enjoyed playing in the LA Forum.
Okay.
And I enjoyed playing, but those are the two cities that stood out the most.
And I know too. You said the word dancer a lot. Are you a good dancer? I know you're a dancer on the
terrible dancer.
Terrible dancer in real life.
When I'm on the basketball court, that's my dance. It's like a ballerina, a ballet person. They're doing what they do as a ballet dancer, but you tell them to come out and do hip hop and do line dance.
Yeah.
They may not be good at that.
So it doesn't translate to the after party.
No.
just the basketball court. And then once your career's over, you hear athletes a lot, Alex, say, what's next for me? When I am done, when my career is done, because the sport, whatever it is, has been their life forever. When the playing career was done, how did you know where to go next? Where was the direction that you felt you were going?
Well, I was planning it. I was planning it as I went in the latter stages of my career. I met a gentleman who was a friend of mine when I was in Milwaukee, and he was a lifelong friend, and he got me involved in Wendy's franchising. Mm-hmm. His name is Junior Bridgman, who just recently passed, and one of the great human beings, and just a great man. He got me involved in the Wendy's franchising, and I did that. But I always wanted to be involved with basketball, so I got an opportunity to work with the Players Association in New York City for like 9 years, and I think while my time there, I helped put in place a lot of the things that they still have in the league, just by being the director of player programs. Mm. So I got a chance to do that. And, then I got an opportunity to coach, which was very different. I got an opportunity to start the franchise at North Charleston, the developmental league. Mm-hmm. And from there, I went to Atlanta to New York, to Philadelphia, when Allen Iverson was in his last years.
Okay.
And from there, I went to Toronto and spent the years Vince Carter and Jalen Rose in their last years. But with Chris Bosh being there and being one of the great talents. So I got a chance to work with those guys and, having an effect on, the way they looked at the game, and having them knowing what I did and respecting me for that, and giving me the respect as a coach because of that.
And one of the things you do now is you're on the board of trustees here at South Carolina.
Yes.
And how did that come about? And what is it like to be on the board of trustees? I feel like a lot of people don't really know a lot about it. You hear it a lot, but I don't think a lot of people watching and listening really know a lot about the board of trustees.
Well, years ago, when I had stopped playing the first time, Jim Hodges, who was the first governor, appointed me as a governor appointee. So I got my first experience as an appointee with the Board of Trustees. It's been so long ago. And at that time, I was still moving in the basketball world, so I didn't really get a chance to appreciate what we did on the board. And then after coming back home, Governor McMaster appointed me as a person to take over for William Hubbard, who was our dean, our great dean of the law school here at the university, and who was a friend. I got a chance to take his position as a Columbia at the 5th District representative. And it was a different experience for me this time, because there's a lot of the university's gone through a lot of, at least 3 or 4 different presidents. I got to come on the board when there was a lot of disagreements with the president at the time, and I got a chance to help put in place the new president, Mr. Michael Amaritas, who I think is going to be one of our great presidents.
Yeah.
And during my tenure here so far, we have done a lot of different things. We've seen our university grow. We've got a lot of new things that are happening, and we're going through a lot of different things because with NIL, and now you've got the different politics that are involved in the world, and when it comes to universities, we've got to navigate through a lot of different things, and it's not easy, but we've got solid people on board.
Yeah.
And we work through a lot of different things, so it's a great experience for me, and I enjoy it.
And my last question for you, before we take a quick time out, your greatness is going into the next generation of Englishes, because your daughter, Jade Lee, is a rock star agent, everybody. I mean, a rock star agent. I mean, she's the agent. The list is long.
Yes.
Asia Wilson, Aaliyah Boston.
Not Aaliyah Boston anymore.
Oh, not Aaliyah Boston
She did
anymore.
represent Aaliyah Boston in her NIL stuff.
Oh, okay. That's
but
what,
her
yeah.
professional career, she's got Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Alicia Gray.
Gray, yeah.
She's got Juju Watkins.
Casual.
Casual. And the new player that's coming to the university now this year is the point guard from Florida State, who's going to be a great player.
Okay.
So she's got a young lady from China that plays. So she's made me proud. She's made us proud. And, she is just such a hard worker.
Yeah.
Just such a hard worker.
And it's a testament to her, too, because I knew Jay Lee years ago, and I didn't know she was your daughter, because we communicate just through media, and setting up things.
Yeah.
And so I knew who she was. And then someone said, oh, yeah, that's Alex English's daughter. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, Jay Lee English. And so she has really made a name for herself in this business, in this industry. And I know you have to be so proud of all that she's doing, because she really is elevating these athletes and getting them the opportunities that they really deserve.
She's done a great job, and we're really proud of what she's done. Also a University of South Carolina grad.
Yeah.
And ran track for the University of South Carolina when she first got there. So she is a Gamecock. But she is, she's just worked hard. I can remember when she left the university and moved to California, and I'm like, well, where are you going? She just got in her car and just drove to California. She was going to be an actress. And she goes through these different phases of life and ended up in New York working for Jay-Z's company.
Okay.
And from Jay-Z's company, she just went on to do a lot of good, positive things.
Yeah.
She works. The clients that she's got now, they're all good people, especially Asia Wilson.
Yeah.
Another Gamecock.
Of course, yeah. I love Asia. It's amazing to see just how far she's gone, because I covered here when I first started here in Columbia.
Yes.
She was in her junior year, I think. And so to watch her just become one of the most famous athletes in the world has just been a wild ride. And Jade Lee has been a huge part of that.
Yes, he has.
But we are going to take a quick time out here on South Carolina Sideline. When we come back, I'm going to get Alex's thoughts on the NBA Finals, the Pacers versus the Thunder. We'll talk the NBA right after this. The NBA Finals going on right now between the Pacers and the Thunder. This has been a matchup, that's got a lot of talking points. And just so everyone knows, we're filming this on a Tuesday. So in case, whatever happens in Game 3, we don't know what's going down yet. In Game 3, this will be released on Thursday after Game 3. But from what you've seen so far, Alex, what do you think about this matchup? And it's been back and forth so far in the first two games.
It has, and I think the two best teams are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I feel that, we're seeing the NBA go to a different level this playoff series, and the others that have been gone, the preliminary stuff. I've seen some great athletes that were just phenomenal. But the Indiana Pacers, who's my second team.
Yeah, of course.
Who I played for. And OKC, they've got young players that are just great players and that are going to be even better. Gilgeous-Alexander is just amazing. But then you look around and see the different talents that's around him. You know who I like? I like Lou Dort.
Okay.
Lou Dort is like a little tough linebacker that plays tough defense, but then he can go down on the offense and just make 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Make 3-pointers. And then Jay Williams, another
Yeah.
one. They got two of them, two Williamses that are Jay. But I like that talent. But Gilgeous Alexander is the needle that brings all the thread together and make them work. Homegrown, I like him. But then you look at Indiana. Indiana's got some players that are special as well. You know, the big kid in the middle, I forget his name. He's a center, but he shoots threes. I like him. He just works hard.
Yeah.
And the rest of the players, I like them all. And you know, the one thing that I've noticed is on both of those teams, they're Canadian players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I coached in Canada for 7 years, but seeing that they've got not just regular, Gilgeous Alexander, Canadian player.
Yeah.
Lou Dort, Canadian player. And Indiana's got a few. I say the Canadian basketball team, the new Olympic teams, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
But they've learned from us in the States.
Yeah, and the Pacers, what stood out to me is I know that they lost game 2, but they don't give up. I mean,
They don't give up.
these games that you think that they are out of,
Yes.
5 minutes later, they're right back in it, and it's been thrilling to watch. To me, they've been the best story of this postseason so far, but it's been really fun to watch that never say die attitude, and it just feels like no matter how much these teams are trying to just, knock them out, they just keep clawing their way back.
They just keep working, and I really like their team. They've got a kid from Charleston area, I think. Is it Neesmith or one of the kids? He's from the Charleston area that played down there, but they've got a great collection of talent as well. And the coach, Rick Carlisle is a very good coach.
Yeah. What and I know this season too, there's been so much talk about the state of the NBA. People talk about ratings, they talk about market size, there's talking about all these types of things. What do you think of where the league is at in 2025?
Well, I guess all you have to do is look at the contract they just negotiated with ESPN, and that tells you.
Yeah, a lot of money.
There's a lot of money. But I think that one of the things, and I think Adam Silver mentioned this, is that he'd like to see the game get away from coming out shooting a lot of three-pointers, and getting back into the creativity of the game, which I say is between the three-point line and the basket. But I think that these guys that are playing, they've gotten so expert at shooting the three, it's kind of hard to take that away. But the state of the game I think it's okay. I think these young players, they're making new stars. And, stars drive, the television ratings. And Gilgeous Alexander and who's got the kid coming from Duke?
Yeah, Cooper Flagg.
Cooper Flagg is going to bring some more energy to the game. So I think the state of the game is okay. I mean, I wish I was playing now. They're making $40 and $50 million a year.
Yeah.
So that's but that's all due to, what the former players have done to keep the game, building the game, and our negotiations with the NBA. And I remember being a NBA player rep and how important it was back then, what we negotiated as far as negotiating to be, part owners of the league itself, getting 53% of the gross. And, all the things that you wanted to throw into that. The owners didn't want to put in TV and radio.
Yeah.
But we made them do it. We made them put in the boxes. We made them put in parking. All the different things that they put into that box now, it's even expanded because now you've got the different little games they play, and you got so many platforms to put the games on. And if we hadn't done that then, they probably would have said, well, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Then, we would, the ESPNs, the YouTubes, and all these other platforms that they've added. That's how they can pay these players, and then they've increased the fan base. Now you've got USBL, NBA Africa.
I think something that's been amazing to watch is how all of these other countries, like you said earlier, are starting to compete with the United States because of what you guys did and the growth of the game. it's not just the U.S. versus everybody anymore. It's so many countries that are now developing these players, and that's just making the league even better.
Yes, one of the things that I did in the past 7 years is that I would go to China and go to the different NBA sites and teach. So the Chinese kids could learn the game of basketball, and it's so big there. That's probably the biggest audience.
Really?
The Chinese, yes.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Pacers and the Thunder play out, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the NBA continues to grow even further through these next years. I know LeBron, Steph's still in it, but the new generation is starting to come, and it's a lot of fun. But we're going to take one time out here on South Carolina Sideline. Up next, we've talked about the NBA, but I want to get Alex's thoughts on women's basketball and how much it's grown over the past 2-3 years.
Love it.
Love it so
Love
much.
it.
South Carolina Sideline, back right after this. Alex, I don't know if you remember this. I was at your camp years ago covering your camp for Watch Fox, and I remember you told me how much you love women's basketball because the fundamentals are so present in the game. Well, since then, the game has exploded even more. What's it been like for you to watch how much it has really just taken over these past few years?
Well, it's been great, and I watch probably more women's basketball than I do men.
Really?
I watch more men's basketball during the playoffs.
Of course, yeah.
But I watch the women's game during the season, because it's a shorter season. And I think that, that's due to a lot of the college players that have come out, the women players that are so talented. And, a lot of that happened here at USC with Dawn Staley. And the players that she's brought forth and all of the other players. But the women's game is like the NBA game may have been when I played. They're fundamentally sound. They're not dunking the ball yet. Some of them are.
Yeah.
But they're just pure. They just play the game like it's supposed to be played. They shoot threes, but they don't shoot a whole lot of threes. And got players that are just talented. And we've got the players that are coming out.
Yeah.
It only gets better. Caitlin Clark, what she does on the court, she just brought a different type of talent to the game. And then you got Juju Watkins coming out at some point, and she's going to be another talent that's going to be special. And they've got a lot of special talents. We've produced a few players out of the Gamecock group. And, I'm looking forward to seeing all of them develop and be good. But women's basketball is on the rise now.
It is. And I think, too, when you just think of here in Columbia, I know Dawn and the Gamecocks lost in the national championship, but to consistently be in that position, is hard to do. It's very easy to win once and then never get close again. But to consistently put your team, put your program in those winning positions is also something that is very hard to do. And I'm going to be shocked if they're not in
They'll
Phoenix. I think Phoenix is next year.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if they're not back in the Final Four next year.
So will I. I got a lot of faith in Coach Staley. She's put some talented players together. But the rest of the league, the rest of college basketball is only getting better. They're going to be seeing a big exponential growth coming up because they've got a new collective bargaining agreement that they're negotiating. So hopefully the women will start getting paid a lot better, and they don't have to go all out of the country. And they will get paid better, so that'll keep a lot of players here, and then they're adding teams. It's like it reminds me of how the NBA grew. Because when I played, there wasn't a Memphis, there wasn't a Orlando, there wasn't a Charlotte. They added those teams over the years, and the WNBA is doing the same thing, and it's going to be great.
It is going to be great. It's been amazing too. I think the college game has grown so much now. We're seeing it kind of go into the WNBA. Now that league is growing so much, and that has been a lot of fun to watch. One more break here on South Carolina Sideline, and we are going to wrap things up with Alex English right after this. Well, Alex, this has been fantastic. I can't thank you enough for coming on our podcast, but we are going to end by, again, plugging the upcoming things you have going on this summer. The first is your camp, which is at Dreher High School this year.
Dreher High School, July 21st through July 24th.
Okay.
And it's a day camp. We have a lot of fun. We have different celebs come by and talk about basketball, but we teach basketball.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing it at my old high school, Dreher High School.
You guys can scan the QR code to find out all the information about his summer camp at Dreher High School. And then on Monday, September 29th, you have the Alex English Celebrity Golf Tournament, which supports the Let's Share Foundation. And you got some big names going to be a part of it this season?
Yes, we've got Nancy Lieberman Klein is coming.
Wow.
We've got Muggsy Bogues coming.
Oh, Muggsy's coming.
Muggsy's coming. Ralph Sampson, Donnie Shell.
Okay.
George Rogers always participates. Harold Green from the Columbia area. Fat Lever from my old school, my old team in Denver. T.R. Dunn, Tyrone Corbin, Donnie Shell. I don't know if I said Donnie Shell, but we got a lot of people coming, and it's going to be great to have Nancy Lieberman Klein.
Yeah.
She's a good golfer.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you a good golfer? How's your golf game?
I am a terrible golfer.
Terrible.
But I get out there and I try.
Yeah.
I try.
That's all you can do. Sometimes golf is such a hard sport.
Yes.
And before we wrap up, what is the Let's Share Foundation and how can people support it?
The Let's Share Foundation is my foundation that I started to support different disadvantaged people in the area as well as the arts. I started it years ago and we stopped and we got it going again. Some of the organizations that we support, Family Promise of the Midlands, the Urban League, and just other organizations. We hope to be doing some more programs with the young people in the Columbia area, in the STEM community.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot. You can go on the internet and look at Let's Share, the Let'sShareFoundation.com, and we appreciate your support.
Yeah. And I have to say, too, again, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. And you are an NBA legend and a basketball legend and a Gamecock legend, but you're also a pillar of the community, and you do these things when you don't have to. So you take the fact that you spend so much of your time giving back to the Midlands, giving back to the Columbia, does not go unnoticed. And it really is important what you're doing with your basketball camp, with your foundation. Yes. And I know that you have so many people out there who are fans of you on the court, but also fans of you off of it.
Well, thank you.
So thank you.
And thank you for the support.
Of course. And hopefully we can come out and check out the golf tournament.
Yeah,
and,
you come out to the basketball camp.
Of course. We'll be there first.
See us there in July, and then come out and support us at the golf tournament.
Alex English, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. You don't know what it means to me, man. This was so fun. This was so cool. I was telling him we could talk for like 3 hours, but he's a busy guy and he's got to get out of here.
Well, thank you.
And Athin, thank you so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate it.
It was great, and good luck.
Thank you.
Sideline.
South Carolina Sideline.
Yes.
Again, make sure to like, follow, subscribe wherever you watch or listen to your podcast. He is the legendary Alex English. I am the not so legendary Matt Dowell, and we will see you next time here on South Carolina Sideline. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you very much.